I know you all know that we have 4 principals at the high school: Dr. Suber, Mr. Berlin, Mrs. Romano, and Mr. Sullivan. Mrs. Romano and Mr. Sullivan were new this year. Mrs. Romano is actually a teacher, previously a teacher at the high school, and then Mr. Sullivan came to us, and they're doing phenomenal. So you can see that they're broken up by grade levels according to the principals, and then on the counselor side, I am Mrs. Farson. I'm sorry I didn't say my name yet. I'm Mrs. Farson. I'm the 9th grade counselor. I get to do this night because I usually have mostly 8th grade parents. So I enjoy meeting you guys. So if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to come up and talk to me afterwards. But we have a whole team of counselors at the high school, as you can see. According to your child's last name, these are their counselors, and they're all here tonight supporting me. Mrs. Rapp is here. She has A through D. Mrs. Freund is E through K. Mrs. DiPaolo is on maternity leave, but I think she's coming back this Friday. I'm probably more excited about that than she is, as we maybe all are. Mrs. Frost has our students with the last name starting with R, I through Z, and I get to work with all of the 9th grade students. Here's a timeline that might help you a little bit as your students are starting their scheduling season. So they're all receiving lots of information and having conversations with teachers, and I did a lot with the 8th graders today, half of them I guess you could say. So some of your students may have talked about that when they came home, but I do have some more lessons to do tomorrow, and I look forward to that as well, but they are receiving things also currently. So starting on January 24th, we started getting those teacher recommendations and passing out those course planning sheets. Your students should have them, but again, if it's an 8th grader that has not had the lesson yet, tomorrow they'll get their sheet then. January 24th through February 3rd is when they're going to start inputting all those selections into school links. Hopefully that sounds familiar to you as far as a program that they use to get all those classes in there that they are requesting, along with some alternates that they're okay taking in case they don't get into something. But School Links is like, it should be in their favorites as far as what they're coming in and out of on their Chromebooks and creating their schedules. February 4th through the 20th, they're going to meet with counselors to review those selections, and then by the end of that time, we will be approving course plans. In March, that's when they should be able to see things in School Links and see what they requested. Obviously not their schedule, but some of the things that they requested. 8th grade parents, they'll have those course sheets, and they're so quick about learning how to get back into School Links and clicking around, and I think I'm telling them something and they're looking at me like, yeah, I already just did that. They're just really good at that, and they learn very quickly. Hopefully they come home and bring you into the conversation, or know how to do that, because they'll have the sheet and they'll know how to get into School Links, and they're matching those two things up at this point. All right, some scheduling requirements. Notice that says core curriculum for college. These are what colleges ask for as far as credits and what they want to see on a transcript. And that's those 4 credits of English and math, 3 of science and social studies. And world language is on there, and again, that says for college. Colleges, that may be super important to them, that there's some world languages on their transcript, but that's not something that we know for sure, because that just depends on the path that the student is on what they would like to take, and probably the college that they want to go to. So, you know, after a little research, or they just know they want to take a world language, they would want to start getting that on their schedule. Colleges like to see that, but not always, I guess you could say. And then 1 credit of a fine art. And I really hit home with that with the 8th graders today, because they get so nervous that they think they're supposed to have a world language on there. That is not necessary, and they're not a graduation requirement class. But they look nice on there if that student so chooses to put that on their schedule. All right, some schedule change policies. We do have things that we have to stick by as far as what we can do for our students and when we can do those things for them. The course plans will be approved and finalized by spring break. And after scheduling in February, changes can only be made through the counselors. So just because those students are hitting submit, there might be some things that we still need to get in there and do and change in conversations that we're still having, and that's all still possible until a certain time as well. So schooling course plans will become final, like I said, in early May, and then corrections will need to be made by May 15th. And then changes, this is just for the beginning of the school year. We'd like kids to just get comfortable and get the jitters out, so we try not to change anything in their schedule the first 10 days of class. So we do have a 10-day policy with getting them to feel better and then making an informed decision at the end of that 10 days. There are a lot of, I guess, things that can come up as far as how easy it is for us to do things with their schedule and how much we can help them. Obviously, our first priority is to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible, but they just have to remember some things about the policies and dates for sure. So there are a lot of things that you can look over in the curriculum guide. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to get to that. But typically, if there is a study hall on a student's schedule already, and by all means they can have one on there, but that doesn't give them as much flexibility to drop a course that they just weren't as interested in or not doing well sometimes in when there's already a study hall. So sometimes I tell kids to sometimes pad their schedule if they're not sure about that Spanish class and taking a world language, but they want to try. We usually suggest that they fill the schedule up with no study hall so that they can get a good feel for it, probably feel better about it, feel fine about it, and then have that flexibility to drop it to a study hall if they need to. But there's a lot of conversations around that. We always encourage students to keep trying, but we know that there's a lot of things that come up that's important to them. So again, those dates matter as far as withdrawing from courses and what we can do about that. Just email us. Always encourage the student to come see us and have the conversation earlier than later. Most likely we'll be able to help them more so the sooner they ask and they at least know the answer. Okay, so again, those level change, well, this is actually pertaining to level changes. So let's say a student starts out in honors algebra, and I know my brain talks about talks about a freshman schedule when I'm doing this, but if they're in honors algebra and they start the year and that starts to not feel like a good fit because maybe they were recommended but they were kind of on the fence, if it gets to a point where they are struggling, the first conversation is always with the teacher to work that out and see if there's things that we can do to help them. And then obviously we're hoping that they've had the conversation with you. And that's a big decision to make on wanting to drop from an honors level course to academic. By all means, we'll do that because that they have to think about their stress levels and their after school activities and all that. But there's certain times that they need to ask about that. And I know you can see on the slide there that is once the year starts between week 3 and 5, that is okay to start requesting that and asking about a level change and doing it. But then when we get a little deeper into the semester or that grading period, we like it to be teacher initiated. And again, we can have meetings about that if that comes up with your student. That grade will transfer with them. Whatever they were receiving before that level change, it would get calculated and go with them to the next level that they chose to do. That's okay. I don't want them to ever stress out about that because we always help them work that out. Some scheduling rules for a little bit of a difference between grades 9 to 11 and seniors. You can see there that if your child is in grades 9 through 11, they must have 6 periods scheduled on their, 6 periods of class on their schedule. They can only have 1 study hall. That academic lab that you'll see and that you know about, that is like a study hall, but they can have 1 additional full year study hall on there. If they're in credit recovery, okay, that's a little bit different. But if they might be in a math labs like an algebra lab or a geometry lab, whether they're offered or not, I can't tell you that would count as a study hall. So they couldn't have a math lab and a study hall on there, and that might not come up with you. They're always responsible for their eligibility. Students need to pass 5 subjects, and that's a D or higher, to stay eligible for what extracurriculars they would like to stay in and participate in. For seniors only, I know I don't have very many senior parents here, and seniors are well aware of what they want to do, and they know about earlier release and late arrival. Those are things that need to be requested. Those are not always guaranteed. That's always a conversation with their upper level counselor on how that fits into their schedule, and it may not fit into their schedule. It's not a done deal, but seniors may be eligible to take 5 classes and have that release in a study hall. All of that just depends on lots of other things and the situation they are in. All right, so department scheduling rules. This is just things that the departments like students to know as far as taking these courses. We do like them to have that teacher recommendation, or if a student and parent has discussed wanting to override that level that was recommended and changing it, then we would need that override signed by a parent. And then those English classes always have summer reading that can be seen on their websites. Math, same thing, as far as if that recommendation is really big for math, because math, teachers know their students the best, but if that's something they really feel very passionate about, that override is very important for us to have from you as a parent, acknowledging that you know they want to do that and you believe they are ready to do that. And then some parameters with world language. Our 4th year of Spanish is a CCP course. That's something that student will move through as far as applying to the college and taking that 4th year of Spanish that way. But then you can see down at the bottom there, French 3-4 and Latin 3-4. Those are high school honors credit only. All right, CCP, College Credit Plus, that is an option. Most students in the CCP program are juniors and seniors. We do have dabbles of other students in that program, but it's a process, and it is something that you don't just put on the schedule. You obviously have to apply to the CCP program, and most interested in that have already started their application process. I guess that's best case scenario. Or your kids are already in the CCP program. But there are some dates and ways to get into the Google Classroom for CCP to learn more information about that and the requirements that your student will need to be accepted into the program. All right, so some of the courses tentatively that's offered through our CCP program, you can see a quick list there of possible classes that some of our kids in the program may choose. And we do have AP courses. There is a quick list for you to check out that are offered in our AP program. That's teacher recommendations as far as students being in those programs and students feeling prepared to take those, but we do have a good selection there for kids to choose from. All right, juniors and seniors, semester English options, okay? We have some classes that are offered as semesters, and you can see that list there as well, that those upperclassmen can choose. Again, this is typically juniors and seniors that are looking at these classes and talking to their teachers and learning more about what those classes are about to put onto their schedules as well. Some fun, good classes there. All right, math class recommendations. This is kind of this or that. It's kind of an or, I guess, path that they might take. If Algebra 2 is not the course that they take, then they may be recommended for QR or data science. So those are things that your student will be able to ask their teacher about, or you can email teachers or peruse through the curriculum guide to read a little bit more about those. Okay, we have some new courses next year that students may choose from depending on their grade level. You can see the grade level 10 through 12 next to the, just before a little bit of the description, but sports and American history will be offered to 10 through 12th graders. We have a brand new program called Home and Car Maintenance, and I forgot about it. I had an 8th grader put it on their schedule, and I tried to make them take it off because I didn't think it was for them, but it is. So that is a course that 9th through 12th graders can choose. And then we have some new choir courses with names. Students are going on that choir path. They will need to try, it sounds like they're going to be trying out for the different choir classes that they can take. Freshmen will also try out for that. 8th graders will also try out for their freshman year. So when they're doing their scheduling, they were asking me this today, well, what do I choose if I don't know which one I'm going to make? They're just gonna, you can see down at the bottom here, it says that all future 9th graders will just schedule that encore edition for choir. And even if you make a mistake on that, you can't make a mistake because we end up getting that information provided to us, and then we make changes in the program if necessary. So they really can't go wrong with that, but the 8th graders will maybe not know what to do with that, since they're not in with a high school teacher to explain that to them right now. Okay, so world language semester electives, lots to choose from. That's for those students that are looking for more enrichment with world languages. And again, those are going to be upperclassmen offerings, and that's not going to be necessarily for 8th graders or 9th graders, I don't think. But if they want to look into that and talk to their world language teacher, those are definitely some good options for them. Okay, diploma requirements. So all of that college stuff at the beginning, now these are the requirements and credits that students need to get that diploma at the end of their 4 years. So they will need to accumulate. I had an 8th grader ask me if they had to get 21 done in their 9th grade year. They have to accumulate, it's a marathon, not a sprint, 21 credits by the time they graduate. That happens. That's kind of part of our job, is making sure that happens in hand in hand with the student, making good decisions about that. Competency must be shown in Algebra and English 2 EOCs, or end of course tests. Obviously at the end of when your student takes Algebra, they may have already taken it, they take that, and then their sophomore year they take English 2. And then college and career readiness, those 2 diploma seals that isn't a really big thing for freshmen to 8th to 9th graders to worry about. And then the upperclassmen are the ones that start to dig into that a little bit and wonder about what they need, but a lot of that happens pretty naturally with classes that they take. Okay, so diploma requirements, courses, and credits. This is what the 21 credits just generically looks like, with how many credits they need in each core subject. 8th graders, I have them automatically putting health on their schedule because it is a grad requirement, and that 9th grade year is, I'm telling them, it's not their most exciting year of scheduling in classes. It's the year that we just get it done and we get all those grad requirements taken care of, so they can start having a little more fun and flexibility with other courses they want to take as they get older. But I do try to make sure that they have that health on there. That is a half a credit that they need for graduation. They need 2 semesters of phys ed or an equivalent. And then a half a credit of financial literacy. Ours is called personal finance. Some of your students may have already taken that. But I try to impress on the 8th graders that if they're not super strong in math or just are hesitant about it, that it doesn't have to be a course they take their 9th grade year. You can save it to take it just before you graduate, because it's a graduation requirement. So sometimes I just tell them to wait till their 10th grade year and they have a little bit more math under their belt. And then within that 21 credits, they will need 5.5 elective credits. Just really quick with the phys ed, because I don't think it's on another slide in here. If students are in 2 seasons of a sport, this is how they can waive their PE and not put it on their schedule. 2 seasons of any sport, it can be soccer and track, golf and bowling, just 2 seasons of anything gives them a PE exemption. 2 years of choir is a PE exemption, or 2 years of band is a PE exemption. Not to be mixed and matched, okay? So if they're not any of those 3 things I just talked about, then they're gonna put PE on their schedule and get that taken care of, and they need 2 semesters for their high school diploma. But if they are one of those 3 categories that I just said, they're going to circle or indicate that they are a PE exemption, and we make a note of that in their scheduling as well. And you can't do 1 semester of PE and 1 season of a sport, or 1 year of choir and 1 year of band. It kind of has to stay in its lane, was how I try to explain that to the students. Okay, so diploma requirements with electives. This is just some categories on how students can meet those elective. Here are the options that kids can choose from to meet those elective requirements, is what I'm trying to say there. So notice that world language is on there as an elective. It would be recognized as that on their scheduling because it is not a graduation requirement, but they may choose that as one of their electives. Okay, so that brings us to some other ways that students can go about obtaining that. They have to get that 1 full fine art credit. With the fine art credit, within those electives, one of them will be a fine art credit. And you can see on the left-hand side up there that they can obtain that credit through traditional fine arts. Intro to speech classes do count. Those newspaper yearbook classes count as a fine art. And then architectural design and engineering graphics, along with intro to broadcasting, those all count as fine arts. And if you look at their course selection sheet, or if you happen to be in the curriculum, there will be little symbols that note whether it is a fine art or not. And then if they're on that career tech path, there are other ways that the counselors will work with the student to meet that fine art requirement. They can do it through some of those career tech programs, but they can also do it through some of these other ways, but that is a conversation with their counselor on how they meet that fine art requirement. Is that pretty good? Okay, along with that competency of passing that algebra and EOC, we get them to the finish line. They do have a chance. If they don't pass it the first time, they get another chance to take it. And then if that's still a struggle, that becomes a conversation with the counselor, and then a plan is made on how we're going to get them again to the finish line and feel good about that. All right, so lots of things to know about readiness seals that are part of their requirements. There is a whole way that you can get in and dig into what that means, but your students probably know a lot about how they're going to obtain those seals. We could probably do another presentation about that, but there's lots of different kinds that they can acquire through their high school career. All right, honors diploma requirements. If a student is taking honors level courses, then they're probably on the right track. But looking into it and diving into other things they need is a very good idea. I'm not going to do that tonight, but going straight into the ODE website. And if you were in this presentation, you could click right on that ODE and it will take you to that website, and it gives a list of things that students need to complete in order to meet those requirements for the honors diploma. All right, next steps for your students. So again, they have received those course planning forms. And then from now until February 3rd, they're going to be able to make those requests in SchoolLinks. And then we have some help sessions that we announce to the students, where they can come in during their academic lab, and counselors will answer any questions they have about that. And then they will meet individually, so different grade levels or different weeks throughout the month of February, and we get them all taken care of. It's good times, good times getting through all those students, but it feels good when we're done, and it's so nice to be able to meet with them individually because they've got good questions by the time they get to that point. All right, so this is what SchoolLinks is going to look like if you get in there as a parent, if you're not in there already, but you can always, if you're not in there as a parent, sit right next to your student and they can show you how they click through and choose things. And the last slide on here is a quick access for you if you'd like to see some of these, like the curriculum guide is really nice because you can look at all of the courses there. It has graduation checklists. Let me just see, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so when you click right on it, and all of these are on the high school guidance department website. Everything you're probably wondering is going to be right there on the right side, all the links that we have. and you can peruse through there to see if any of those are what you need, and they probably will be. But this is one of the selections there. But this curriculum guide is not letting me scroll. Oh, there it is. I'm not going to go through this, but it's very big, and it gives you a lot of information, so you might even skip to the pages that you need in that, pertaining to what questions you have. And the one that the students have today, I can't get to that very quickly from here, but I'll show you this, guidance website. All right, so the high school guidance website, guidance department, has everything you're going to need to know. Quick access to us as for your student's counselor, ways to make an appointment, that they can make an appointment to see us, and then down the right-hand side there are links to any questions they have. And if they are wondering about CCP, then they can go down here, and there is some information about that. And all the different classrooms, there is a special classroom here for the CCP-bound students, and they would click on that and join that Google Classroom, where you can actually do that too and view some information. But what your students have today, they have either shown you, or your 8th graders will be showing you very soon. Okay, and they all should be in their Google Classroom. Okay, that takes me to the end. Is there anything else you guys wanted me to pull up and show them at this point as far as schoolings? Okay, this is what I could do. I'm going to go over to a little bit about schoolings and what the students are seeing, or what it might look like. When they start building their course plan and they get into schoolings, one of the first things that maybe the 8th graders might forget is getting into their course planner. And once they're in and logged in, to get to putting the classes in, or if you even want to check things out, there's an apple. Let me make this bigger for you. There is a little apple. Nope, I went the wrong way. Okay, the little apple icon is on the left side. They're going to click. You would click on the apple and then choose Course Planner. And once they're in their Course Planner, it's going to say, "Hi, let's go," and it goes to each subject area where they can look through and not just plan that year. They can actually have a little fun and imagine and plan out the rest of their high school years and what that might look like. And that can be changed and played around with. The only one that's most important is the year they're planning for, which would be next year. And one of the things that we may or may not have remembered to say to students sometimes is hitting the submit button when they are done with everything and they think they've got it right before they're to meet with us as counselors. They will, I went right past it, at the bottom right-hand corner. So this is what their page may look like with all of their courses. And down on the right-hand side is Submit Plan, and then that lets us know they think they're done, and then they'll meet with us and we'll check their work and have conversations with them and answer any questions. Okay? Yeah. Okay, I think that takes us to the end. We are here. All the counselors are here tonight, so if you have any questions, we'll hang out for a few minutes here. This was recorded. Okay, this presentation was recorded. We will post that to our website, along with all that other information will be nice and easy to get to. Please feel free to email us. We'd rather answer those questions, like I said, sooner than later, and take care of some things for you, but always encourage your student to sign up to see us and plan that out with us as well, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for coming tonight. You will have questions, and we're ready for them, and I want you guys to all have a good night, okay? Thank you.